I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a city council work session at 6 p.m. Monday, April 22nd, 2024. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Present.
Councilmember Middleton. Present. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Present.
Councilmember Dundon is absent. Councilmember Costi,
Present.
Council President Matavetsky is also absent. Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Present.
Thank you.
So our first item on the agenda is going into executive session. So I would entertain a motion to enter executive session to just
Motion to go into executive session to discuss RL 24-79. I'll make a second. To discuss legal and personnel matters.
can I get a second for that?
I second.
Do we need a roll call?
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton. Aye. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Council President Hotchkiss.
Aye. So we're going to go to executive session and we'll be right back. Thank you. All right. So I would entertain a motion to exit executive session and re-enter regular session.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to adjourn from executive session, return to regular work session.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Now we need a roll call. So
Oh,
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Council President Pro Tempore Hotchkiss.
aye.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that RL 2479 be expedited to this Wednesday's business meeting, please.
There's a second
I'll second.
Motion.
and
Roll.
need a roll call for that, right? Roll
Coun-
call.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
No.
Council President Pro Tem Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to our next item, which is RL 2475, considered into finance. Councilmember Kavanaugh, do you want to lead this discussion?
Sure, I think we have Billy Goodson here with us. Come on down. We're here to discuss RL 2475, amending the 2024 sewer treatment plant budget to increase professional services for appraisal services by decreasing their contingency fund. Could you explain to us what we're appraising, why we're appraising it, why it didn't get done last year, and why it didn't just get put in the budget for this year?
It's the appraisal for the property and equipment at the plant. It hadn't been done since before the large project was finished. So it was time to get the appraisal for the new buildings and equipment that we have there. The RL, the winning bid for the RL was approved in June of 2023. With the understanding that they would not start the project until 2024 because of their scheduling.
So why didn't it just get put in the 2024 budget?
Because I should have put the PO in 2023 to carry over to 2024, and I neglected to do that.
Okay. And just for edification, so I mean, you appraise things, you have numbers. What do they get? What does that accurate updated number get used for?
Our insurance, excuse me, the flood insurance and the property insurance.
Okay.
We just want to make sure that what we're insured for is accurate. And after the appraisal, they're pretty close to accurate.
Okay. And it hadn't been done in how long?
I think it was last done in 2014. I can confirm that and send you an email if you like.
Is this something that have the insurance companies asked for this updated stuff, or is this just on your?
It was the
Sure.
board that requested it. We thought it was in our best interest because there was a significant amount of work done at the plant.
Certainly.
Yeah. And we want to
all
make sure that we're appropriately insured for all of our equipment and property.
Right. So I'm wondering if this is going to. The next lead on will be, we have increased insurance costs then probably for
More than likely, yes.
significantly increased assets.
No, because the insurance has been keeping up with the increases over time. So the appraisal is fairly close to what the insurance company has been insuring us for. We just wanted to confirm it.
Okay. The
It
board
will
asked
be
for,
an increase, but not
Oh,
as
it's-
substantial as you.
I mean, so this has already been done?
What's that?
This has been done already?
The appraisal, yes.
Oh, so. Okay.
I didn't.
Well,
catch
wait a
it
minute. So
until
now this creates you have spent money that has not been allocated.
It was approved last year in June. It was my fault.
Okay, but
But now we need the funds.
but it wasn't actually put in the budget for this year. So it approved last year, but you didn't spend it.
Correct.
So you have misspent. You have spent funds that were not allocated this year.
correct? My error. We had over $400,000 in professional services last year, and that's when it was approved. And this year we don't.
I understand that, but again, you spent, I mean, I don't know what to,
We were already under contract. It was an error on my part. I don't have any other answer than that, but we were under contract and the work had started. The
checks
contract
were
was
written for
approved.
which funds were not allocated
We
this year.
have funds in the professional services line. If it comes to it, I can come back to you and ask for money at a later date when we need it. I am just trying to be proactive so we don't have to do it later. There's $89,000 in that budget line. If we need it for something else, I can come back at a later date. The project was approved in 2023.
Anyone else have any questions?
I would say, so has this, I'm not trying to put you in a hot spot, but has this been like a common practice to,
No,
Um,
it's not. Like
go
I
back
said, it
and-
was my error. And
Okay.
normally I'm better at it than I was in this situation.
is there anything that we could do like process wise to have preventative measures to make sure that we
The
are,
reason that, I'm sorry, to cut you off. The reason this one was missed is because the contract was approved back in June of 2023. We didn't get the invoice until January of 2024. And at that time, I realized that a PO had not been created for it.
okay,
And I mean, I'm not going to second guess what was done last year, but if the appraisal came back at basically what you thought, or the insurance company thought it was appraised at anyway, I'm wondering if this was money well spent anyway, but the sewer board obviously thought it was at the time.
The insurance company isn't responsible for appraisals. They're only responsible for giving us an estimate of what they think the build is worth.
That would be an appraisal.
Our flood insurance, Brown and Brown did ask for an official appraisal last year in September.
Okay, that's a different answer.
I apologize for not thinking of it sooner.
anything else from anybody? All right, we're all set to move on to our next item.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Next is RL considered into Public Works and Parks. Chairperson Dundon isn't here. Is there, who else is on that committee? You're on it?
Yeah.
All right, so Councilwoman Middleton will present on RL 24-80, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a CREST grant from
Come.
DASNY in the amount of $150,000 for renovation of the restrooms and administrative lobby at Ross Park Zoo.
Hey, Juliet. Hello. Hi, can you explain this to us, please?
Yes, this was one of the requests from the zoo is to have this work done and I didn't apply for the grant, but I am taking over it because Pat, left the city, Pat McInnes.
Mm.
So we want $150,000 to renovate. There's no match required. And I've attached the estimates from the contractor, Toco's Contracting, and all the paperwork's here. So they're anxious they have to send out a bid and all that, so.
And this $150,000, I'm just looking at it, sorry.
Mhm.
We won't need any more money after that for this
I
cost?
don't believe so. No, the estimate breakdown was fairly concise. Trying to, sorry, flip to that page.
Mhm.
130,500 for the lobby and both of the bathrooms and the admin area. And then 19,000 held out for general conditions. I guess that's, if that's like an overcost or something.
Okay.
So that it should be, that should do it.
And do you know when, I'm sorry, do you know when they'll be starting to work on this?
Well, we'd like to start right away, but DASNY grants take a little bit to get in place. So I would do this and then they sent me a general, what's it called, a questionnaire.
Mhm.
So we have to finish a general questionnaire, send it to them, get the contract back. I don't like to start projects until we have the contract in hand, but we might because work really needs to be done. So we're hoping to get it done this year.
So this year, they're
Yeah.
hoping to get it done?
Yep, I'd like to get it done this summer.
So the letter from DASNY was from February 15th and they wanted action within 30 days. Are we still on track with them?
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
submitted everything they asked for early.
Okay.
And at the same time submitted the RL. I didn't realize I hadn't gone for an RL yet, so.
So this Parks submitted this grant for this grant.
Yep.
For
Ross Park Zoo.
for Ross Park.
Yeah.
Upgrades. I mean, so this is one of those gray areas where they're supposed to take care of their infrastructure and stuff, but we're helping them take care of their infrastructure and stuff. Yes?
If we can help with funding, we will.
No,
It's grant
I'm not
eligible.
disagreeing.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that
It's kind
there's,
of, I think the gray area is mostly with like landscape maintenance, shoveling mostly and mowing. So we don't have a separate budget line to maintain their buildings, no. But we help them.
but we're helping out.
Yeah, we help them with grants and funding and we'll schedule the work to be done and a meeting with the zoo director Wednesday.
So,
believe.
but is it, so your department's kind of taking on responsibility for overseeing this or?
Yeah. Pat asked if we would,
Okay.
so.
So
We're
the
very
contract will
familiar.
be between, so this,
Mhm.
the city is the recipient of the grant and then
Yep.
handles everything.
Yep.
And contracts with Tocus, not Ross Park, or not the zoo, I should say.
No, we do it.
Okay,
We do it. I'm gonna help with the, we have a lot of experience with DASNY grants, so I don't mind. Tito's actually, and once we get in place, Tito's gonna take over the, management of it and Parks will handle the contractors, so. Team effort.
sounds good.
Anything else? All right.
No.
Thank you, Juliet.
Yep.
Our next item is again in Public Works and Parks. This is RL 24-81, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a donation of public art from Caitlin Davy and James McIlroy. Councilwoman Middleton will be leading this discussion for.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Can you just tell us about this resolution?
Caitlin Davy is a graduate student at BU that wanted to do some kind of public works display.
Mhm.
And what she came out was this mural inside the Confluence Park.
Mhm.
And it had the word attached, but in the discussion between her and Pat, it became too expensive because it had to be extremely weather resistant.
Mhm.
And what she had, the design wasn't tough enough for it, but she still wanted to do the mural inside the tunnel. It wouldn't cost the city the donation.
Okay. Simple.
Yes, pretty simple.
This has been up through COD. I had a look at it and,
Yep.
I sort of liked that the message board aspect of it. I thought that was good. I think we haven't had a facet like, we haven't had something like that freestanding publicly available since the message cube in front of the federal building.
Yeah.
And I thought it was time to have that again. I'm a little sad to see that go from the project, but not having it is no reason not to have a nice mural in that tunnel, which is just kind of there and blah. I think it's a good thing, but I think a lot of what what she was excited about was that messaging space. So just something for us to think about in, future endeavors. I thought that was a really cool idea. But
If she does, she would come.
but anyway, but the mural as is also certainly, I think, a plus. And as long as the, Parks Department is all right with upkeep and what have you,
Yeah, they agreed to maintain it. Yeah.
I think it's a plus for the city.
I got it. Are there any further discussion from you guys? I've got a couple of questions. I think it's really cool that this is a donation and I think it's super positive. But if somebody else would like to donate art and they don't necessarily have a spot like picked out, do we have a registry of publicly owned spaces that you could donate art to if you wanted to?
I mean,
Because I think that would
there's-
accelerate.
That is, to be honest.
Okay.
But if it was ever presented, yeah, we would take it into consideration. Absolutely.
Awesome. Then my other thing is there for this? I know there's been like some pushback from like painting on like flood walls because it makes it harder to inspect the infrastructure.
We got permission from the EC before we did that.
Okay,
So they're okay with it.
awesome.
And they approved the kind of paint and the overcoating. So that's all been approved.
Excellent. That's all I have. Thank you for facilitating this.
Sure.
Anybody
Absolutely.
else?
No, I like this.
Mm.
It's really cool. I'm
Yeah,
excited
is.
about it.
It's very, very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have RL 2482. This is in the planning. This is a resolution to hold a public hearing for the NYSHCR grant. Juliet, do you want to stand in for Steve Carson?
Sorry. Could I make one request regarding the previous 2481? Is it possible to have that expedited, the mural? The grad student is graduating and she'd like to get it started as soon as possible, so she can
Okay.
have as much done before she.
I need a motion to,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Do we need to do a roll call
Roll call.
vote for?
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Council President Pro Tem Hotchkiss.
Aye.
I appreciate it.
Okay, back to 2482. So what are we looking at here?
Well, this is the project is completed and, this is the North Shore Tower Elevator Project and, let's see. The last public hearing, we held one before the funds were expended and then we held one after the completion of the project to go through, the work that had been done. That second one hadn't been posted publicly on the bulletin board. We had it in the paper and it was on the agenda for work session and for the business meeting, and that's on the calendar, but they didn't count that as public noticing. So we literally have to hold this over again so before we can close the grant. I think the email was included in there in the packet. Before we can close the grant with the New York State Home and Community Renewal Program, we have to repost it, renotice and reschedule.
Who caught that wasn't on the bulletin board?
Steve Carson,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Well, they asked him and he had a list that he had to check off and he's
Right.
like, no, we had it on the website, meaning the calendar. And they said, no, that doesn't count. So there's actually, I think, a form in here that they want used and posted. So we're going to put it on the bulletin board right up front. So I guess we're just asking to schedule another public hearing for the elevator. So we can close the grant.
I think that's fine. Does anybody have any issues?
Is this to be expedited as well?
If possible, do you think? I mean, you have to schedule it, so I don't know what the upcoming workload is like, but the sooner the better. So if possible.
So I'd accept a motion to expedite, so we can get the public hearing scheduled.
I make a, okay.
We have to republish in the paper and everything again,
Yeah.
right? All the,
Oh, yeah.
All the.
like, so I don't think we have time to,
Yeah, I know there's a 7-day minimum. So I guess no, we don't need to expedite it. 'cause-
But I-
Okay, Withdraw
it-
motion.
did he double check with the, so under the bullet point? Here in public, hearing, a clear legible copy of the legal notice, but then the bullet point, the second one below it says acceptable evidence includes a website screenshot.
Yeah, and they didn't-
Implying that,
They didn't count being posted on the city calendar in an agenda as public noticing.
but if we'd posted it as like a separate web page, it would have been okay?
Mhm.
Like a flyer on the website would have been okay. I'm just in future,
Yeah.
for future.
Yeah.
Maybe
Right.
it's a thing we
And,
need to have.
BHA was going to post it on their bulletin board, but didn't, so that would have saved it. So,
All right. I'm just,
but this was news to me. Usually if you post it in the calendar, that's public noticing. I mean, for planning commission, we do public mailings and we post on the site. I mean, it's very specific what we have to do. And then we post in the, on the agenda, with Colin. But that wasn't, no.
What was the holdup? I'm sorry.
no.
What was the holdup on BHA to?
No, that I don't understand. Yeah, Steve just told me today, he called, asked me to cover, and he said they didn't end up posting it there, so. Not sure why.
So we need either an old school actual flyer up or,
That's what we want to do.
or a virtual flyer on a website. I mean, just for future stuff, maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
so we're requesting a public hearing to be scheduled, I guess.
When's the soonest we could have that?
Yeah.
Not this Wednesday's business meeting, but
I would assume the next, whatever we need to do for the publication, who does the publication, you or Steve?
We do, right, yeah. So, and we have, it's at least 10 days because it takes them 3 days to get it in the paper. So we've got that down, Jen Art. So we have to have it in, I think, probably by Tuesday. So if we get them the notice tomorrow, they can get it published in time for 7-day noticing.
So it'd be our next,
So I
business meeting, right?
make a motion
Yeah,
to
nothing-
schedule the public hearing for
May
May,
8th, the 8th,
what's the next meeting?
May 8th, I think. Okay.
Oh, fair enough.
wait, so.
All right.
We'll do that at the business meeting.
Yeah, it's May 8th.
All right.
Okay. I think that's it for this.
And then would the public meeting be held at the end of if I were to give a time?
I think we do them at the beginning usually
beginning,
before we
the
start.
beginning.
At the beginning? Okay, so 6 o'clock, May 8th?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just tell everybody 6 o'clock.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Next on the agenda is RL 24-83, considered into planning. This is an ordinance authorizing the sale of 41 Clinton Street of the First Ward Action Council for $1. Presenting on this is our Director of Economic Development, Sarah Close. Hi, thanks for coming down. So seems pretty straightforward, but just want to walk us through this RL?
Yep. So an ordinance authorizing the sale of 41 Clinton Street to the First Ward Action Council. So we're supporting the First Ward Gateway Revitalization Project that the First Ward Action Council is currently putting together. So for the purpose of this project, they have presented a proposal for 41 Clinton Street and also 43.5 Clinton Street. It's a very small parcel just off of 41 Clinton Street. To look at them, you would think they were functionally one parcel. It's just a very small sliver. Included on the intent to purchase form, Jerry did outline both parcels. And this would facilitate the building of I believe it's a 15 unit. I think he's still figuring out the final prices, but a 15 unit apartment building with commercial space on the first floor.
Thank you. Is this? I guess who found who for this? Did you guys say, Jerry, we got this empty lot, do you want to build anything on it, or did vice versa? Did he say this is city-owned lot? Can I include this in my scatter plot development plan?
My understanding is that Jerry came to us on this, but quite honestly, we're in conversations with Jerry and First Ward Action Council all of the time. So when we see opportunities to package projects, sometimes we'll be the ones that recommend that. But it's not that we specifically sought Jerry out for 41 Clinton Street. We were actively working on a scatter site plot while an opportunity came up.
Okay. And is there a registry of different sites that are either vacant lots to help with developers that want to do ground up development?
Yeah, generally folks come to us through the GIS website. If you search for City of Binghamton ownership, BLDC ownership, Bureau ownership, it populates a list of properties that are publicly owned.
And then if you're not familiar with that website, then
That's how most people come to us,
Okay.
bcgis.com. Then you can search by owner and it can print out an Excel sheet for you.
thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Sure. So we're authorizing an authorization to sell, but we don't actually have title yet.
We do not currently have title, so the reason it's coming to you before that is because obviously the legislative process is several weeks long. This needs to be authorized by the May 8th meeting so that it can be included in the Restore New York application.
Which we also haven't passed yet.
It's been to committee.
I know.
I believe that going to committee is an introduction to this whole body.
My other question, Corporation Counsel, if we have to do seeker review to give a tiny empty lot to a neighbor, why do we not have to do seeker review for an entire development site?
I think I can answer that. It's because the side lots are intended to stay vacant while this is a development that will require seeker and environmental as part of the due diligence.
That doesn't answer why we don't have to do seeker before we actually sell it.
So that we can do seeker twice. It seems non-efficient.
I don't think we can.
I'm not totally clear on the question. You're asking about the box for no seeker required is checked for 41 Clinton. Is that the question?
Correct.
Just why we don't have to do seeker review? I mean, I think we'll have to look into it. Certainly we'll comply with all regulations. I mean, if it turns out that it's all hypothetical right now, right? So I think we need to wait until we get ownership of the property and then we can send planning over there to determine if there are any secret concerns or if it's
Well, I'm saying we have the side lot program, which is established,
right.
and for some reason we do seeker review.
I believe that's to protect the person who's taking it from the liability, since it's just a green space next to their home as opposed to a development opportunity that requires seeker, environmental review, and other due diligence before the actual project is done. So First Ward Action Council is taking on that liability, but they also have
I think we have
corporate
seeker,
insurance.
I mean, I would like Sophie to look into this. I think we have seeker responsibilities before we sell a piece of property.
Certainly.
Thank
Yeah, I'll look into it.
And so anyway, this would be on the business meeting. These will both be on the following business meeting, not Wednesday. Sorry.
Is there anything else? No? All right. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Next we have RL 24-84. This is considered into municipal and public affairs. Chairperson Middleton will be leading this discussion and our deputy clerk, Samantha Costello, will be presenting.
Folks, how are you?
Good. Hi, Sam. So can you tell us about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this RL 24-84 is a noise variance permit application. This was submitted by Abel's Pub, which is located on the west side of Binghamton. Abel's is specifically submitting this application for multiple live music events that they will be hosting at their bar. They have an enclosure outside in the back of the bar where they have installed some soundproofing tiles and tried to make it sort of an amenable space for live music to take place. The reason that the deputy clerk's office is, or that the clerk's office is submitting this application is because for RLs of this nature in the past, these applications go through the clerk's office. So that's why I'm down here presenting in front of you. And so the noise variance would essentially just allow them to have this live music without disturbing or in any way violating the noise ordinance that we have as part of the charter.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I already looked at it. It's very simple, self-explanatory. And we're gonna
Have you seen any other special noise ordinances come to the clerk's office?
Not this year, but certainly there is a history and there's a precedent for different businesses in the city of Binghamton applying for these specific type of ordinances. Remlix, Zona in the past, a lot of different businesses have applied for these types of permits specifically because they don't want to be in violation of the noise ordinance. I will point out for your own reference that these events will take place from 7 to 10 p.m. So they're not violating the late night noise ordinance. Yeah, exactly. And technically they don't even really need to apply for this permit. They're doing it to do a good faith, full effort with the community to show that they really do want to be respectful and observant of community expectations around noise. And like I said, I think something that's differed from the noise variance permits that they've applied for in the past is that this year they have installed a significant amount of soundproofing equipment in the back enclosure. So they are making an effort in the community to try to reduce the noise, but also to be in compliance with city code. So
yeah, that's great. I had another question. So then what are the next steps? Like, what do we do now that we have this they
Yeah.
applied for the permit?
yeah, so the next step would be we would actually set a hearing. So there needs
Okay.
to be a public hearing in order for this to.
And is this expedited? Do they want?
So it actually doesn't need to be expedited. You would just need to set the public hearing at the next business meeting. So
Okay.
the business meeting on Wednesday, you don't need to like pass this RL in order to set the public hearing. But we did want to put the RL on the agenda. It also, I mean, yeah, it's up to you how you'd like to move forward. The public hearing presumably should happen as soon as possible because the
Okay.
public should be aware and have significant
Yeah.
time in order to prepare, but that public hearing would take place on May 8th. So
Okay.
there would be sufficient time. Ables also needs to inform all of the parcels that are within a 500-foot radius of the parcel that they occupy. They have to do that by certified mail, similarly to how Dr. Burling described the process that the planning department uses to notify folks in a 500-foot parcel area. We would do a similar thing from the clerk's office, send certified mail with a red receipt and ask all of those folks to respond. The public hearing would give people the opportunity on the May 8th council meeting to come down and give their opinion and their thoughts and feedback.
Okay.
So I would say we're trying to get this process as soon as possible, just so people have enough time to actually come down and give you their thoughts.
Okay.
Sam, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but they're not asking to be exempted from the late night noise. Like, I guess what is the variant
Yeah.
of? There's
Yeah,
no, there's
yeah.
no,
So I can get really deep in the weeds about the noise ordinance if you'd like. It's
Oh,
a pretty difficult to enforce ordinance.
I
in the city of
understand all of that.
Binghamton. Yeah. So
but like, it doesn't even apply for these hours, right? So, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I understand what we're issuing a variance of.
So specifically, it's under, and I wrote it down in the RL, but under chapter 292, section 5, there is a section called section B. I can provide you a copy if you'd like for all of you. Under section B, there is a subsection B11 that specifically says that anything that anyone does that is considered as disturbing the peace or causing excessive noise, which means anyone at any time can call the police and say, this noise is excessive and it's disturbing and it's bothering me. And we have to respond to that complaint. It doesn't mean that the complaint will be found valid or that the business owner might necessarily be cited for the complaint, but it is technically considered a complaint, right? So to Abel's I think to the applicant's mind in this particular situation, it's to cover against specifically having the hardship of needing to deal with a response to that kind of complaint every time the complaint is made. So the variance is specifically so that an applicant can demonstrate that there would be a hardship preventing them from complying with the ordinance as it is written under the law and the charter. And in this case, that is why the applicant is applying, because essentially anyone can sort of cite B11. Previously, the applicant had applied under B2, which is around sound amplification devices. But because the applicant has a permanent music situation set up now this year, which was also in an effort to comply with the noise ordinance, they no longer qualify under B2. So this is them covering under B11.
Any further discussion? I feel like, oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
That's very
Oh,
helpful.
no.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have something, Nate? Wait,
I feel like this is
You wanna
like,
talk more
this
about
is one
noise?
of the like situations where you're being a lobbyist. Like we had the fireworks where you're like lobbying for the fireworks permit. Now you're like being a lobbyist.
Oh,
But I don't know. It would be interesting to like, why wouldn't Ables be here talking about
Yeah.
doing this?
So the history of these particular types of variances is that they actually are processed through the clerk's office, since the clerk's office manages permits and permitting processes. So specifically, I mean, an applicant can of course come and speak on their behalf, but the idea, I think, from the charter is really that the application is actually vetted by the clerk's office first to make sure that it's legal, that it's in compliance with the ordinance, that it's something that we could even actually permit if necessary. So that's why the application was processed through our office, and our office presented the application in the same way that the mayor's office comes down and presents applications related to the side lot program, et cetera.
Thank you.
And if any of you want to talk shop about noise ordinances, I am an expert now, so please feel free.
I mean, my concern is some of these neighbors are going to be waiting for 10:01 to roll around.
I mean, and I think that the public hearing, what's really, I think, actually important about this application specifically is that there is an opportunity for public hearing before you did make any kind of decision about granting the noise variance. And I think that's a really good opportunity for folks on, no matter where you sit in the noise question, to come out and have a discussion about it. So I know for a fact, to your point, President Pro Tem Hotchkiss, that the applicant will be coming to the public hearing, of course, to discuss their application. So that is also an opportunity to have a
I
discussion.
don't doubt we'll be hearing something.
I'm
at that
sure
hearing.
the noise will get wild in here. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. All right, moving on, we'll go to RL 24-74. This is considered into rules, procedures, and special studies.
Sorry, Mr. Sam, I'm sorry. Did you say the next step is to set a public hearing? Do we need to set a public hearing for
yes,
this now?
yes,
We should.
we'll do it on
Okay,
Wednesday.
right.
Yep.
I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry.
All right, so Councilman Dundon is not here to present on this. Councilman Porter, do you want to talk about this?
Sure. This is RL 2474, an ordinance to amend Charter Section 26-9 to clarify a legislative sign-out process. It seems to be there, what the section that they want to change is like for any formal legislation signed out of committee by a majority of committee members or a majority members of the council shall be first read legislation at the next two regular business meetings or special business meetings for that purpose held within the same time frame.
So the change here was it used to be the next business meeting, and now it's within the next two business meetings.
So
So
at
that
least
gives-
allow the process, especially for the clerks to be able to get through that legislation and have that opportunity to get through that. So my
So,
understanding.
right, and I understand you didn't author this, but I guess that makes sense if it's the holdup is being the drafting of legislation is that gives the clerks more time. Otherwise, I think from a procedural standpoint with the city council, there's I kind of gotten used to our process, and I think it's decent the way it is, but
Well, I also know that by sometimes we don't, to my understanding for council, sometimes we don't either sign out at the appropriate time.
Right.
And we tend to miss some of that, so which makes it much more difficult for the clerks to get through it. So by doing this, we at least have that time to sign those legislations out
In a system too, right?
So my,
in the system.
I mean, my point to raise would be that, I mean, if you, this creates, in a situation where there's a very tight council, situation, you're creating the opportunity for the president to manipulate the schedule a little bit more. Say at the end of the year, when you're trying or not trying to get some things done, that opportunity to kind of fudge the schedule, this gives the president the opportunity to fudge the schedule a little bit more and shift things. Which I don't like. I like the idea of council or a set number of members of council being able to force something on the agenda of the next meeting.
Go ahead.
Having said that, I also realize that the requirement that is something that might get signed out the morning of a business meeting can be an issue for actually drafting legislation. So I'm friendly to the idea of this amendment of this change, but not with this wording. I think we could come up with a timeline, must be, any legislation signed out within 36 hours of the business meeting is on that meeting, or it will automatically be on the next business meeting, something like that. So, which takes out the discretion, which takes out added discretion to the president and clarifies. Something like that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if we're willing to bounce this to committee to discuss or.
Yeah, I think it makes sense as a committee topic. I don't know if this is needs to be like rushed forward. I don't have very strong feelings one way or another about it.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to
So-
refer to rules and special studies for consideration.
Give you a second. Am I allowed? I can second as a presiding officer.
I'll second.
There we go.
So.
Any
I have-
discussion on that motion?
I mean, unfortunately, I'm sorry. I missed out on what was discussed prior, before I had just left to take a phone call. So why are we having for the?
Do you want me to reiterate my?
Go ahead.
So I'm fine with the intent of this, which is to clarify when things need to end up or should end up on a business meeting schedule, and to prevent something getting signed out on the morning of a business meeting and then trying to rush to get things drafted and on for business meeting. But it also offers, when there's a tighter council and more disagreeing with the council, it offers the president, I think, too much discretion to postpone things a number of weeks at their discretion, which I think is not a good idea. I like the idea of,
So you're saying that the president might have ill intentions to do that, just to do that?
I think that potential exists, right? So say you want something voted on before the end of the year or before the end of a budget year, and that meeting is coming up and the next meeting puts you over that there's that room for manipulation that we don't have now. So I don't want to create that. I don't want to create that potential for manipulation.
Okay.
But I also want to add a buffer of time to actually get things drafted. So I would take the next 1 to 2 next regular business meetings or whatever and switch it to maybe 36 hours or something and give them a day and a half.
You give them a day and a half?
Minimum. So you can't sign something, anything that gets signed out.
I know, because it's supposed to
So
be
you-
within 24 4
Do you want to
hours.
continue this in a committee?
Yeah, so anyway,
Yeah,
that's why
to-
I made a
yeah,
motion
yeah,
to refer
committee,
this to committee,
committee.
so we can
Okay,
have
yeah.
this discussion in
All right,
a
we
boring
can have a
committee.
discussion
We had a
committee, yeah.
motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in
I'm good.
favor?
I just wanted to know what
Aye.
was the,
Do we need
Aye.
to vote? Do we need to roll call on that or no?
We'll do a roll call, be extra safe.
Councilmember Porter,
aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Council President Pro Tem Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have RL 24-77, a resolution in support of New York Senate Bill S 8622. This is considered into planning. Councilwoman Middleton will be presenting.
Sure.
What do we got?
I'd like I'd like to make a motion to introduce 24-77. It's a resolution in support of the New York State Senate Bill S 8622. This bill has already been passed in the one House budget before it came to the work session. But I'm asking my fellow council members to expedite this bill so that we may show support for our important initiative outlined within. So you'll look at it and you'll see the reason why. This bill would help provide stability for families facing unexpected hardships, relieve pressure from an overwhelmed shelter system, provide money to landlords whose tenants are experiencing an emergency situation, and save the state an estimated $13,000 per household, which is and so that way they're out of the shelter system.
Thank you. This is a state law. We're just
Showing our support. Yeah, it's already
showing
been passed.
our support.
Saturday it was passed.
It was passed already?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it was
Oh.
passed already. Saturday it was passed.
We're late
It's
to the
just-
ball game?
Yeah, no, it just, you never know with those things. So
Right.
like we,
So horses have fled the barn, but I have a question in that the bill text we were provided does not match the resolution we're asking to support. No, that's a model resolution from we were given bill text for S 8036B and we're supporting S 8622. One's about infill housing and one's about emergency grants. So we're asking to support the emergency grants bill, but we have an infill housing bill.
there's this part right here.
No, this is that's a resolution from another city that we're modeling on.
I mean, I kind of
Um,
support both of these, but.
I
like,
mean, I do too. But
Yeah, I
apples
don't
and
know how
oranges.
that got in there.
I don't know either.
They both passed
Where-
already?
Yes, they both passed.
Oh,
So the thing we have is a resolution from Buffalo City Council, I think, in support of S 8622, but we don't actually have the text of S 8622.
We could get
I'm sure we
that.
can get it.
Yeah, we
And
can
I'm-
get that. Yeah, we can get that. But that's basically what it is. It's just us showing support on this important initiative that, we do have a homeless crisis here in the state of New York. Even though it was passed already, it's still good to show that we are in support of helping people who are going through hardships. So that's all.
Thank you.
You saying it's just,
And we're gonna go ahead. What do
is
you
it
think?
just, I'm quite confused at this moment
What? Okay.
with Robert, Kavanaugh, Councilman Kavanaugh
It's just-
talked about. Because I already see that, I already thinking that already Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse, Albany, all of them already
Yeah,
have
we're
that.
well, we got it late, so we're just. showing
Okay.
our support
Oh,
on it.
yeah,
That's
I figured that's what we were showing our support on, but
No.
I was just worried about
Yes.
the bill that he
I'll
was.
just clarify since we put the packet together. The bill that you're voting or like what you're supporting is a 6B. That text of the sample resolution is just what a resolution would look like, but it's not a contradictory program.
Okay, that's,
Yeah, but we don't, I'm saying we don't have the text of S 8622.
Yeah, we
can
get it. We can
get
it. I'm sorry.
Oh, somebody just put in what a law looks like? Okay.
No, we can get it, Robert.
Is any, oh,
but we
so,
are in support of it, so just.
Yes, we are. We are.
yeah.
We're in support of both of them. And we are in support, well, I am in support of both of these initiatives. I don't want to speak for everybody else.
So since we're a little bit late here, since it already passed, you want to expedite this?
Yes, I would like to expedite this.
Give me a motion.
Wait,
I'd make a motion to expedite, I make a motion to expedite this.
a second.
Okay. All, roll call, please.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
No.
Council President Pro Tem Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on, we're on to RL 24-78, an ordinance to amend chapter 400-18 and to include an exception for impound fees that are earmarked for youth programming. This is considered into municipal and public affairs, chaired by Councilwoman Middleton. And I'm the presenter on this, so.
So, I'm sorry, so, so basically you, I know from our last previous meeting, this is just basically, you're stating where you wanted to move that money, correct, for the fees?
Right,
Okay.
and we're trying to avoid any conflict with the existing language in the charter. There's already impound language, but it doesn't really outline anything regarding off-road vehicles. I don't think that last time I checked. So this would just make a clarifying clause that anything that is any revenues generated from the
ATVs.
Oh, the ATV law, that it's gonna go to the youth programming line.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if you'd be open to a friendly amendment to this in that the mayor, did you see the mayor's email from this morning?
This morning.
Yeah.
So the line that you've outlined is an ARPA line that won't be there in the future. We should probably use line A 1210.54.734 youth programming.
Yeah, he said.
Which what was the budget line in human terms? Like,
It's the youth programming line. You could
Okay.
also choose the playgrounds and rec centers or youth programs, athletic supplies, but I think youth programming is the most general of the three.
is any,
Yeah, so I had a chance to speak with our comptroller about really pinpointing out the budget line because we're adding 400 the ATV sections and we wanted to have the impound fees regarding the ATVs change. We have to change 400-18, right? So that's kind of like the Reader's Digest version, what we're trying to do. In there right now is a police budget line. So we have to add a separate line for the impound of ATVs. We have to create a new line. So Chuck is working on that. And I can certainly get Councilman Hotchkiss that confirmation.
So you don't agree with the mayor that it should go into just the general youth programming line?
Chuck, and I don't want to speak for him, but stated that it should go into it has to go into an impound, it has to go into a line. The way the police cars go, it goes into an H line and then further down into an A line, or I'm sorry, an A line into an H line.
So he wants to create an H line under the A line in youth programming.
An A sub A line, and then a new H line for the fees specifically to go into earmarked as impound fees under the new ATV law that's being proposed. So I have the numbers. What Chuck had proposed was A.41520A, which goes into police fees, and then a sub of that of H1210.6X's, because we're gonna have to create a new line for youth programming as a result of those fees.
But that says in the police
Because it's
department,
not an existing budget line.
but that says in the police department then, I think.
it's going into the same line and then a subline. And well, it's not going into the same line. It's going into an A version of that line.
Yeah, but that stays underneath the police
then a
department. I
subline.
think
It sounds like it's
Councilman
being
Hotchkiss's idea was to have it go to the,
You straight to the youth
Park
program.
department.
Youth program, and it sounds like it's being filtered right.
It's my understanding that that's not possible. So that's why I'm going to circle back to my original statement, which is, can I have until tomorrow morning just to confirm the budget lines with our comptroller and Councilman Hotchkiss? And then certainly we could council could certainly entertain a floor motion to amend on Wednesday, should council decide to
I-
expedite.
Were we trying to, I just had a question. Were we trying to vote on this on Wednesday or?
yes, we were trying to get
Okay,
the ATV law.
Yeah,
done
we're
on
trying to
Wednesday.
get that in. So will we be able to, you'll be able to find that out tomorrow and then we can we can vote on it on Wednesday?
Yes, if I could have tomorrow morning to speak with our comptroller, we have the meeting set up and I can confirm the budget line, let everybody know way in advance of the agenda and the material is being published, or at the very least for a floor amendment.
Because oh, here's Chuck. But
Ears were ringing.
I don't mean to put words in your mouth, Councilman Hotchkiss, but I think your intent was to have this go, not stay into the police department's budget.
That's correct. And I think we got a email in support from the mayor that like to put all the funding towards youth programming. So I don't really see a reason not to do that as long as we can just iron out the
Yeah, I don't
budget
think
line.
it's an issue of a disagreement regarding where the funding is going. I think it's just nailing down a budget line that will work into perpetuity versus just one that happens to exist in this year's budget, is my understanding.
Okay, and then we'll review that again tomorrow. I think that's all we have on this. Oh,
I have a question.
yeah,
So the police department's not gonna get any revenue from impounding these vehicles?
nope. That's the idea. So they get impound fees for everything else. It all skips the general fund, and then this is basically would be a new source of revenues that were, because they're not currently, yeah, there's not like that much enforcement around this, basically, because I don't think it's has that much efficacy, but now we're trying to direct it to youth programming, youth services.
I mean, I just think the police department's the one that's enforcing it. So, I mean, maybe I just disagree on how those funds would be spent.
Right. Understand. Yeah, so I'm trying to like, I don't want the motivation for enforcing this to be creating more money for their vehicle line. That's my intention.
Okay.
I just wanted to jump in there. Mike, I think also what Nate's trying to do is kind of put something towards it. So like I don't know if you read like the beginning of it, the fees were, I mean, this is kind of the model that they're using is something from Syracuse is ATV because they have something set up that's very successful there in Syracuse, the police department. So Binghamton is kind of using that same model, but what Nate is trying to do is kind of put that money into something like a program instead of that. But I understand what you're talking about, but I was just giving a background text to it.
Do we know what Syracuse uses
I think, don't quote me, I'll have to look at it again. I think it goes into their general fund, but don't quote me on that.
We already have this specialized law where all our impound fees go to a specific police vehicle fund. So, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that's how it's been for years. So we're just kind of playing with that way of doing things. So, which you are absolutely feel free to disagree with, I think, but yeah.
I understand. I mean, it's like one of those things where, yeah, the police are doing the work, of course. So I understand, like, I understand everyone's side to it, but I think one of the things we were just trying to do is kind of bring something different or put it in something that will kind of in the long run, maybe help out some children. But and especially in different departments, so yeah. That's it.
Anything else on this? Oh, I need a motion to expedite so that we can get.
I make a motion to expedite, the
Second.
legislation.
Second.
Just do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Council President Pro Tem Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on, we got RL 24-78, an ordinance, no, that's me, all right. We're on to 24-59. Again, this is considered into planning. This is an ordinance to amend the. Oh, excuse me. So actually, all of this next batch of agenda items have already gone into different committees, and we're just giving an overview for the council members that are here and for the folks that might be watching this. So we went over 24-59 was at our planning meetings, an ordinance to amend the 2019 and 2020 HUD administration budget, housing budget for the consolidation of unused lines for spending on a housing program. This goes in hand with the next one, 24-60. So this is consolidating funding lines that weren't spent. We had extra money that was allocated that was related to COVID relief that was CDBG-CV. Not all of it was spent, and now it's being bundled, and the intention is to support the First Ward Action Council scatter site plot housing development. It was they apply for other grants. Is there any question about that?
Nope.
You think I represented that well? Robert, you got anything else?
I mean, I think you did. I mean, there was, I mean, in hindsight, there's probably some concerns about how the programs that were structured and administered to actually spend some of these funds back during when they could have been used by people in need during the COVID. But that's, in the past. So now we're looking at, we have these residual funds and what is a good use for them. And I'm certainly in favor of First Ward Action Council Scattered Site Project. I think this is a very good use of these funds. So this is just a logical step to consolidate them and get them ready for use in a project. So this is, certainly a necessary step. And then however you feel about the particular First Ward project, this is a good administrative step to consolidate funds so we know what we're dealing with.
Anybody got anything else on those two?
It is just only to the First Ward Council, correct? Anybody else could not get this grant or of any kind, right?
This RL, all this is doing is consolidating funds that are left over in these various CDBG COVID money lines into one line. It could be used in for most, for a variety of affordable housing projects if you want, but this is the kind of the administrative step of gathering the funds into one pot.
Oh, I think we got one that's gathering the funds and the other that is pushing it to
First Ward Action
First
Council.
Ward Action Council.
Just find it odd that we just push. It looks like we consolidate and then we're just gonna push all that money into but okay. But I mean, there's other developers that could just need that money just the same.
There are other projects that we can discuss, yes. But this particular RL would be prerequisite to any of those things. Pulling the money together to do something with it. So I don't think this RL should be controversial.
Okay.
And moving forward, so that was 59 and then 60. So now we have RL 24-71. A resolution authorizing the city of Binghamton to submit an application for funding from Empire State Development Corporation, Restore New York. Communities Initiative Round 8. So there's 2 of these. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right.
You skipped 2460, I think.
No, he added
20
that. He went into the other 59 and just 60.
He did them together.
Oh,
So yeah, he did them together. So that- top ones, and he read them both out to put them together. So none of them. Yeah.
no, we just did 59.
He did 62.
Yeah, he was saying that it was,
No, they're related, but they're not combined.
Well, he said they were late, but he read them both out.
All right, but I'm sorry. So the things that I was saying was applying to 2459, which I'm saying should be non-controversial.
Right.
So let's bring the money together. And then 2460 and 2471 is what we're doing with those funds.
No, so 71 has to do with the North Depot project.
Nope,
Project.
72 is North Depot project. What? It's opposite on here. Oh, right. I'm sorry. City is Depot. Right. So 60 and 72 are related. 60 and 72 are related. Right? Yes. Sorry.
Is everybody on the same page?
I guess I am
60,
now.
60 would be to allocate the funds from the previous RL to the First Ward Action Council. 71 is an application for the Empire State Development Grant. This is going towards One North Depot, which is just beyond the railroad tracks. If you're leaving downtown, there's part of the building has been redeveloped into condos, and then there's probably like about 2/3 that it's a historic building. It's vacant. It's in pretty rough shape. Mark Unati and Owen Bly are looking to redevelop it as a market rate project. They're budgeting it as a $20 million project, and they're asking for $3 million from the state. They both acknowledge that this is a risky project, and that this initial $3 million isn't going to get them across the finish line, and that they'll have to apply for future pilots and now other grants and tax incentives to make this come to reality. At a planning meeting, they said that they're looking to target pricing around $1,600 for a 1-bedroom and $2,200 for a 2-bedroom. Couldn't get a firm idea of the number of apartments total. It's probably 25 on the low end, 40 on the high end. It seemed like my perspective was it's really preliminary and early phases of their project. That's
Sorry. So this is 2460 going into 2472? Or is this just 2471 that you're talking about?
This is just 2471. This is
Okay.
unrelated to First Ward Action Council.
Okay,
This is
all right.
just they're applying for the New York Restore grants that are supposed to go towards like blighted buildings and things of that nature. So does anybody have any other thoughts that they want to add? Any questions about the meeting?
Who do they plan on moving in with these prices?
I can't hear you.
You're saying these are basically luxury apartments, right? Or basically,
The term was used as market rate. I do think $1,600 is pretty steep. Personally, and I think is attainable for some people, and they are using the example of 50 Front Street as being far more expensive and and they have a wait list there. So that's kind of the case study for the proven
So
demand
basically,
for,
the wait list that's happening at 50 Front, this would be another option for them to have, right? To be able to move into to these apartments.
I mean, I'm not going to speak for the developer, but like,
That's the
Ye-
gist of it, right?
yeah, I think, I mean, it's no secret that affordable housing is a big priority for me. I had reached out and asked if they had a consideration for some affordable units to be included in this project that would that'd make me feel more far more supportive of the project. I think back when we were talking about the Water Street development project and that housing development, they had
4
Uh,
units that they was
Uh,
considering.
th-
that
I think it was 6, but at the time, the Mayor Cram was saying we have to get creative of how we are able to fit in as many affordable units as possible, and I'd really like to see that happen at this site as well.
And make all of them affordable.
And I know it is a high risk, it's a super high risk project. I was kind of playing with the numbers, and just like initially, it's without any funding or tax breaks, like you're looking at like $500,000 per unit, which is pretty,
In the
Great.
luxury end of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
So I'll step up for Mr. Yanati a little bit in their case. The building, I was through One North Depot when the current developer was looking at the project a number of years ago. And the building was starting to be in rough shape then. It has gotten significantly worse. There's large chunks of roof missing. There's a lot of weather getting in. So this, looks like a pretty solid brick building from the outside is really getting rough and to the point of not being salvageable, which is is part of why this project is penciling out very high in the construction and the rehab end of things. So they will, so it's also, unfortunately, this is the project that has been endorsed and brought to us by the mayor's office that has already been sent in to the state on it. Unfortunately, we're on time crunch. We either are supporting this project or won't have a city submission for Restore New York this year. So I don't think that makes any sense. What makes sense, I think, for us as council is to pencil this in our calendars for next year. And as well as other things that the city has submission dates for, other sort of grant opportunities. So that we can be involved in that process as a council, can advocate for projects that we're interested in. But I think we're in a moment where it's either we're supporting this project or we don't have a submission for Restore New York this year. And as far as taking another swing at getting some, I think in the Water Street development thing, we're talking about like sort of public service oriented rentals of some of those. That was sort of how it was put out, right? Ish. So these folks will unquestionably be coming back for a pilot. So I think we get another swing at things. And by that point, the sort of costs and floor plans and stuff are going to be a little bit firmer. So maybe things will be looking a little bit rosier. Maybe there will be some room to negotiate at that point for us. I think but this is a very preliminary application.
Is there a way? So is there a website dealing with this Empire State Development Corporation to Restore New York? Like, for instance, the guidelines that they have set for the housing, or is this just only for luxury housing, or is this could be for any kind of?
I'm not an expert on Restore New York, but it's if the mayor were here and maybe the deputy mayor would chime in, he would be sitting here saying that this literally checks all of the boxes and should be on the front of the pamphlet for Restore New York, as far as it being rehab of an old deteriorating structure that has historic value, that's having a new use, and that fits in with our community development and long-term planning standards. Hi, Deputy Mayor.
Hello.
You
Yeah,
want to chime in?
I do. Well,
Okay.
I just really wanted to say that, thank you for rehashing what the mayor said. The mayor, did present at a committee meeting with the developer, and that would really be, kind of the place to have your questions answered and get an understanding of the project. The same thing happened with the First Ward project previously. So, I would encourage council members, if you weren't at the committee meeting, to please watch it. And then, follow-up questions with the mayor or our officer, the developer, we always welcome, but that would probably be, having those presenters in the room would be important.
What planning committee meeting date was that one?
What meeting was it that the Restore New York applications were on?
That
Last
was
week,
last week, yeah.
Last week? Okay.
last Thursday, right? Or
And the First Ward Action Council ones were, I think the week prior.
no,
The
we're
meeting
going
prior?
back 2 weeks. So for the.
We had Jerry in the
Restore New
meeting
York.
before that, but the Restore New York thing, we discussed it the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Restore New York aspects of it. 411 and 328. There you go.
4/11. That's the Restore New York on April 11th. Okay, thank you.
So a lot, Councilman Porter, I think you asked if it could be used for affordable housing, and I think the answer comes in our next RL, because First Ward Action Council is asking for the same pool of funding, and that's for an affordable, low moderate housing development. So it can be.
So the deal is, yeah, so a municipality can apply for one Restore New York project per municipality. So Binghamton's application is going to be the Depot Street project. County is backing the First Ward Action Council's scattered site project. So it's the county that's submitting it, but it's happening in Binghamton. So we're kind of getting a 2-for-1 this year.
Okay.
Which is also balancing, I think, a little bit balancing some of our concerns of what are we doing for affordable housing with this development of frankly luxury housing. And I think we get to answer some of both of those needs through Restore New York this year. So.
Councilman Kevin, I don't want to go back to previous thing that you were talking about, that we'll have more leverage at the pilot negotiation time.
Well, I mean, that's my hope. We're going to have, I mean, we have another swing at this.
Right,
When
but
the project's a little firmer.
I think it would be more prudent and useful to have the intention of the project to have that understanding that there'll be some handful of units that, like, so they don't get this, they don't get started and then start getting grants and funding and get their plans underway and then say, well, that wasn't our plan to begin with, so we can't roll back now. So now that we're in a very early phase, I'd rather have that understanding out there. And I owe them and the mayor and a couple of you an email in response to some of the conversation that we were having. But that's all I.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I
more.
will, my only pushback again is that we're in a do it or we don't do it this year situation, which is, again, I'm not thrilled
At
about,
the
but
point of not doing it.
here we are. So I think it's, if we get a bite at having some sort of, negotiation of other, some wiggle room in what some of these units can be, I think we don't, I don't think we get to have that now, unfortunately. I mean, I'm just
Point's taken.
speaking of the
I hear you, I
practicalities
hear
of the
you.
calendar.
All right, but that's what that is. Any other questions or thoughts?
I'll comment on that.
Go ahead.
I just think we're lucky to have developers that are interested in the project. I mean, it's market rate rent, and their property is going to continue to deteriorate unless we do something with it. So, I mean, I think it'd be a good time to do something.
Gotcha. Anything else? Okay. Moving on, we have RL 24-72 considered into planning. We're back to the same type of application, but it's for the First Ward Action Council and their project. They're applying for the Restore New York funds, round 8. Just more to support that project. The time of our planning meeting, I didn't know how much they were applying for. I think 2 million was thrown around, but I'm not sure what the actual amount is on the, 3 million, I think. Nope. 3 for each. Okay. They're going for the max. Yep. So as you guys know, the First Ward Action Council is doing a $14 to $15 million project. And they're trying to get some of this funding to make it happen. Any questions about that? Any other comments? Nope. All right. Can move on to RL 24-73, considered into finance. This is a bond to authorize for the improvement of the TPS system for the joint sewage treatment plant. Finance Chair Kavanaugh, can you give us an update on this?
Sure. I would refer folks to the pretty extensive Finance Committee meeting we had. We had Elliot down from the plant, and Chuck and Ron Lake from engineering to talk us through the project. There are some pretty graphic pictures of flushable wipes stuck on equipment, if you're interested in looking at it. To give you a sort of summation, there are kind of 2 main influent lines. The sewage plant, one comes from the Binghamton side, one comes from the Johnson City side. The Binghamton pipe got a new filtration system during all the plant upgrades, which is basically a grid rather, that is scraped by these mechanical fingers almost that come up and take the large debris off of them. A large portion of the debris is now flushable wipes, which have enjoyed an unfortunate renaissance and massive increase in use during the pandemic and after the pandemic, as well as microbial and antimicrobial and alcohol wipes. Tons of those coming through. So the screen filters them out pretty well and allows us to dry them out and dispose of them. The big influent pipe from Johnson City has a different system for handling these large pieces of matter. They grind them up basically and then send them through. What happens then is these things become large globs in some cases and clog up the grinders or the pipes, or they get over to the plant where they hit these fine screens and the screens can't handle them. So either the pumps have to be disassembled, or these screens have to be cleaned by hand. It's very time intensive. It's very dangerous work. It's very messy work. So the idea behind this project is to put in the terminal pump station on Johnson City, from the Johnson City side, a great and cleaning system similar to the one that's coming from the Binghamton side now. This is going to save significant amounts of man hours. It's going to save really nasty cleanup costs. It's a significant initial investment, but it's another important piece for kind of the long-term smooth functioning of the plant. Mr. Lake believes this will actually pay for itself relatively soon in labor savings. Is that these grinder pumps have a lot of maintenance issues. This will be, of course, split with the Village of Johnson City. And as they split the cost for the one on our side as well. Let's see, what else?
At the majority, we end up,
One other thing, the way this is being paid for, we are bonding for it. But the bond will be covered by a 0% interest hardship loan through the state. So this is money that we will not be paying interest on.
Okay.
And we have some settlement money from money that was gotten from all of the issues of the plant. There was the settlement that the city and the plant won. So we're able to use some of that money to pay down debt that we're paying interest on right now. So we're basically getting a new zero interest loan on this money versus money we've already paid out on it with interest. That's my spiel. Any questions so far? Did I do a good job, Councilman Hotchkiss? I mean, you are the board rep.
That was an excellent summation.
yeah, even when I watched the meeting, I was having some issues, but you explained it a little bit better than what they were explaining it. So.
Any questions, discussion on that one? All right, moving on, we have RL 24-78, consider into finance, again, Chairperson Kavanaugh,
76.
76, 74, 20, here we go. 24-76. It's a prepayment to municipalities for credits based on the 2023 final estimate flows for the 85% of estimated final flows in the amount of $4,016,955.99, with the remaining to be paid upon ratification by sewage board of final bill. Do you want to give us an explanation, a little summary?
Sure. If you have any extra questions, Chuck is here now. But I will do my best here. Essentially, during the budgeting process, I mean, there's an estimate of how much flow there's going to be into the plant and how much that's going to cost. It gets overestimated every year, so we have paid the sewage treatment plant. The users have paid the sewage treatment plant an extra $4 million. Due to reconciliation and budgeting timelines, this doesn't end up getting rebated back till, pardon me, October, November of the following year. So we're dealing with the end of 2023, and we wouldn't see that money rebated back till October or November. And there's really no reason why we can't have a reasonable amount of that come back to the municipalities sooner. So what this is doing is a compromise between sewage plant and the municipalities, saying, give us back 85% of that overestimate, and then we'll reckon out the final bits at the end of the finalizing of the budget process, in October and November. So this will create the money coming back into our sewer fund, and then we have some money that was essentially loaned out to the sewage treatment plant. It was used for sewage expenses, I should say. That this money will help kind of fill in that hole in our sewer fund. So we kind of paying ourselves back, sort of, rather than having that debt looking like it's hanging out there. So I think it's good for getting our house back in order a little bit and getting money back where it belongs in a timely fashion. Chuck, did I explain that adequately? Okay. Does anyone have any questions for me or Chuck on this? It's basically good housekeeping. So, all right.
Thank you. Next, we had on our agenda executive session to get an update about any lawsuits that the city is currently in. I think this would be better had with our full council on board so that everybody's up to date and on the same page. So what do I want? I don't,
Wanna make a
we're
motion?
not, I'm not holding it over. It's not. So I want to withdraw this agenda item from,
You want to draw this? Oh, okay.
need a
We
motion
need a
to
motion
withdraw.
to withdraw.
Yeah.
I make a motion to withdraw, this update.
And I'll second.
Or we could just table it. It's either way, it's gonna.
Put it
doesn't
on the
matter.
next
With
work session,
withdrawal. We're in the process of.
Yeah.
So all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We're gonna withdraw the last agenda item. Work session.
I mean, it's up to you guys. Maybe the next work session, just so, the other two council members are present. Or, I mean, you could do it Wednesday. I mean, it's up to you guys what you want to do.
Okay. Okay.
Certainly, I'm available whenever, just let me know.
Okay,
We're done.
so it's been withdrawn. And now I'd accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our lovely work session.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,